Okay, this one is working. It wasn't working at first. Today, we're going to also talk all about spelling curriculum. So this is just a spelling program. So if you have something else for all your other subjects, or maybe your child is a little bit behind in spelling, this is just spelling, which is part of why we moved away from it, because it was just easier to have something more comprehensive. But it is a highly rated, wonderful program. So I have all of levels 1 through 5 and have used all of them. So I want to give you a quick peek at all that includes. So it comes with a teacher guide, and then each teacher guide you buy also the student pack, which is down here, and that's going to come with all of the cards. You have to punch them out, but they're perforated, and we'll talk about those cards. And then it comes with spelling rule help and the fun little jail that you put in the word breaker cards for. I think it's in this one. A progress chart. Here's the little jail you put the cards in. And then other helpful cards. A couple of them have little booklets to fill out. There's some of that. Drops level 1. This is hard to hold a camera and look through it at the same time. Okay, and we're also going to talk about the letter tiles, which make this program also very wonderful. And at the time, it was very unique. Okay, let's see if I can coordinate myself. Okay, so now that I've dropped level 1, let me grab that so we can talk about that. Okay, so the program starts out assuming that your child already knows, I believe, it's been a while since we've done it, letter sounds. So you're just at the point where you're maybe first grade, I think is what they recommend, and you're starting to want them to memorize that can is not spelled with a K, it's spelled with a C, and why is that? And not just memorizing it, but learning and understanding why. So I did also want to say how this worked for us. So before I talk too much about it, let me go over that real quick. So my oldest child is a natural speller. Actually, both of my older children are natural spellers. We started this program with my oldest child, but he found it extremely frustrating because he was such a gifted speller and such a good reader at the time that we started it, sometime in early elementary. All of the spelling lists were too easy. He already knew all the words. So it's very difficult to learn a spelling rule and to really memorize it and make it work for you when you already know how to spell the words. And so I found that he wasn't growing, but it was almost like he didn't need to, I think, in his mind. So I would pull out the spelling rule cards and all of these, and he just had the hardest time concentrating. He would throw a fit. It was just not a good program for him. So we actually moved to another program called Spelling Power, which allowed him to test into the spelling level he was all the way up to, I think, like 12th grade. And I think like in 2nd grade, he tested into an 8th grade spelling level. So he was able to learn the spelling rules at the top with Spelling Power, and then have words that were a challenge to him so that he didn't already know how to spell, and forced him to learn why and to learn that rule. And so that worked with him a lot better. So that's why we didn't do this program for him. For my second son, we were able to start it a lot sooner before he really got a lot of spelling words memorized. And so he actually absolutely loved it. He would get so excited for when we would do it. He loved learning the rules, and he loved the games that we played. Every time you say a rule right, you take a step forward, and how quickly can you get back to mom. He loved the flashcards. He thrives on order and challenge. And so this was an excellent program for him. It just fit the bill for him. He moved through the levels much faster 1 through 5 than in 5 years because he just flew with it. It was just right for him. And then there was a gap between him and my third child, and like I said, we ended up going with something that was more comprehensive and had the spelling built in with a lot of the other language arts stuff. So it's kind of been passed around to some of my friends to use, but we haven't used it since. So I'll do my best in my review because I did love what we did use, and we have continued to use the spelling rule cards for all of my kids, and what I'll talk about in a little bit to the magnetic tiles we continue to use, which is why I still have it sitting around all these years later. So anyways, it starts out nice and slow and gentle with simple words. Again, it's one of those programs where this is the teacher book. It doesn't give you answers. It tells you how to teach it. Again, you want to make sure that you understand your program. You understand its concepts, its methods. So make sure before you start that you look in the book at the beginning and you read things like quick overviews, how to teach. You watch some of the YouTube videos the company might put out. This happens to have a preparing for level 1 section. That you understand the teaching methodology so that you don't just open. I used to do this. You know, you're tired and you got all these kids, and I would just open a day 1, okay, let's fly, and not be ready and be overwhelmed. And I can't teach that way. So definitely make sure you do that with any curriculum you use. My life is so much easier now when I just take the summer to really understand my curriculums. So it tells you what to do with all the cards, how to organize them at the beginning, and then it tells you exactly how to teach it. So let's go over some of this. So you're going to start out, each level has, the green cards are the actual spelling words, so that if your child finds cry easy but dry difficult for whatever reason, you have these. And so each type of card has its own review, mastered, and future lessons section. So you can put the appropriate card in the appropriate color behind each appropriate label and continue to work on those. So the blue cards are my favorite because they have the spelling rules. They're easy to say, so they're easy to memorize. We love going over those. We still use those all the time. The red cards are another way of spelling. So what's great about this program is it's not just WH says W, and so we're going to use that to spell the word when. But it also teaches you backwards. So here's the word when. What do we know about W sounds and when we use them? And so these kind of help you work backwards. So you work forwards and backwards in learning how to spell, so that any word you come across, you will hopefully be able to figure out how to spell without having ever seen it. So that's really neat. And then, of course, wow, that's convenient. I didn't even do that on purpose. WH, W. They would need to look at this and know that it says W. It tells me in the back. Some places have the H sound. Here in Arizona, we don't say Hua. We say W. Anyways, that's a whole conversation for Facebook groups. They love to have those. So, and then it gives you while, so that you can say, well, do I say while? No, I say while. So I'm going to teach my kid to say W, not Hua. Anyways, that's for super nerds like me. So, very nice and organized for those of us that love to be organized. So the student pack comes with all of those cards, and it comes, like I said, with all of the jail for your rule breakers. I wonder if I can find any rule breaker. Here's one. So we don't say I've been to the store. We use double E in this word to say instead of E. So that's considered a rule breaker, and it gets to go in the little jail card, and they get to circle the double E's, and my son would have a blast circling it and crossing it out and, you know, doing all kinds of stuff in pencil to those little rule breakers. Really fun. So in level 1, it starts out with short spelling words, then move on to short phrases. Again, it tells you exactly what to say and when to say it and how to be organized. Because it's just spelling, it doesn't take long, 10, 15 minutes max. And as you're learning to spell the words, these letter tiles are wonderful. Now, I did have, up until just yesterday, a nice white magnetic board that was much bigger than this, and all of my magnetic tiles fit on it nicely in the layout that it comes with. So you can tell exactly where everything goes, and it has like titles for the type of phonogram it is. So this is just a sampling of what you might say. So I might say that your spelling word is the word pink, and it's going to tell me how to say it. So the child is going to pull down the P, I. I'm going to say, okay, it's a consonant blend or a consonant team, and they're going to spell the word that way. So now they're focusing their brain on spelling instead of spelling and the mechanics of handwriting. And for some kids, that is just too much for their brains to focus on, to do the mechanics and the actual spelling part. And so this program is so good for those kinesthetic learners, or those learners that are just not ready for handwriting, but that are ready for spelling. So again, you'll have everything all neatly organized, and it helps them learn to alphabetize if you encourage them to put everything back in order. So then they learn it all on their own, how to alphabetize them. There's like duplicates of the main letters of the alphabet, and vowels have one color, consonants have another, vowel blends have one, consonant blends have one. They've got suffixes and prefixes as you move on through the levels. When you get your student packet, comes with the new tiles you'll need for that lesson. So that is that. Again, we love that just in general. We use that for other programs because like I said, when your handwriting isn't ready to handle spelling, but your brain is, it's a really great curriculum to use. And we also use lots of other methods. I have like letter stamps, and I have just like those bigger letters that you might get to like spell happy birthday somewhere, but I had like a ton of letters, foam letters. Sometimes we use those, what are they called? Like the metal with the fuzzy on it. And we use those. They have to make the letter shape. Titus loved that. Making letter shapes with those. It takes forever to get, pipe cleaners, thank you. It takes forever to get through a lesson sometimes. You're just like, yeah, you just write the letter and we can be done in 5 minutes, but they learn so much better. So you just suck it up. Another fun one is to do Play-Doh letters, rolling it out skinny and forming the letter that way, or using a toothpick in the Play-Doh and forming the letter if you want to work on some both penmanship or handwriting and strengthening that fine motor skill, because they have to rub it through the Play-Doh. And a super fun one, maybe as like a reward, is to do the same with Play-Doh except with cookie dough, and make a letter shape and then bake your spelling words and eat your spelling words. So there's a lot of fun stuff. And actually, Isaiah, while I'm doing this, can you open that top drawer by your head right there and pull out and hand me the orange and black box that's in there? You might have to look for it. I mentioned Spelling Power earlier and how much we loved that you are placed in a level instead of to learn the spelling words, and how much better that was for him. But I want to talk about this activity task card box that Spelling Power puts out. You can buy this just by itself, and I highly recommend that you do. You do not have to have it as part of a curriculum. And inside, it has ideas based on, this might be, well, based on an activity. So there's drill activities, skill builders. You can't see it at the same time as me, so I'll just read it. Skill builders, writing prompts, dictionary skills, and homophones and more. And the colors are based on levels of maturity. So the card that might be recommended here might be to make your spelling words with Play-Doh, whereas the card recommended here is going to be a lot more difficult task. But all of these are ideas on how to cement spelling words in your brain. So you could just say, okay, today's Monday, and the words that you missed, go pull out a pink card. Look at that, toothpick words. How fun is that? And they're all numbered, so you can put them all back in order. So let me pull out the third level, root words. Look for the root word within your spelling words. Circle the root words. So just some activities there. Let's go to skill, and let's go to the very hardest level, the yellow level, plural forms. Rewrite the following words in plural form. Write a sentence for each plural word. Try to make a paragraph with your sentence. I had my son, I had him do that once, and he misunderstood that I didn't mean one sentence with all of his spelling words. And so he literally used all of his spelling words in one sentence, and it was the most hilarious sentence ever. Made perfect sense, and all of them were used perfectly. And he worked so hard at it, and I was so proud of him. So they're just really fun ideas that can be used for any kid. Even if you don't homeschool, I highly recommend this box. Activity task cards by Spelling Power. This one's obviously super old. They sell, newer boxes now. But for any kid who's struggling with spelling, again, it's any level. It increases in difficulty. Just really cementing those spelling words in their head in a fun way, so that the boredom of spelling is dispelled. So again, back to all about spelling. It just moves on from letter sound spelling words like can to bigger phonograms as the levels increase. And it moves from also spelling phrases. So you'll have spelling words, which are those green cards also, but then it'll move on to phrases. And again, it always shows you exactly what to say. It helps you think forwards and backwards in your spelling words. And we'll just kind of take a quick peek at level 5. It helps you with past tense. It talks about that. It talks about plurals, silent E rules, anything that you need for spelling. So as you can see, by level 5, the sentences are a lot longer. And of course, the words are longer. But all of the words used in here are words that they will know how to spell. Looks like we're doing silent G, silent K by this point, and you can see all of that online. So not so much games built in like Logic of English, but I think probably by level 5 they would be in the Essentials program of Logic of English, which, like I said, I'm not a fan of anyways. That now All About Spelling goes up to level 6 and 7, which I've not looked at because I've not needed. They also have, before you do All About Spelling, they have All About Reading, which I also hear great reviews for. Again, I didn't look at it because I really liked that Logic of English included some other stuff besides just learning how to read. But I hear wonderful things about All About Reading, and that it's a really fun program. We had a couple of their books for a while that you're supposed to read with the program. So definitely check those out if you've got readers or kids that need help with spelling. Again, it's 10 or 15 minutes, so even if your kid isn't being homeschooled this year but really needs to focus on spelling, this is a great program, and because it's just spelling, it's not as expensive as a more complete curriculum. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I will try to answer them best. Check out the website, check out the Facebook groups. They're usually really wonderful. Thanks, guys.